Premier, we will start with the MOU you just signed with federal government. You have been pretty vocal about your relations with the federal government. Is this the new beginning?
I hope it's a new beginning. We had tried when I first got elected to have some of this kind of agreement with the previous Prime Minister and his Environment Minister and got nowhere. This new Prime Minister came in and I think he wants to reset the relationship too. The world's changed a lot since Donald Trump got elected in the United States, and I think this Prime Minister understands that if we're going to open new markets, we have to sell people the things they want to buy. And right now we see, whether it's in India, Asia, or around the world, people want to have secure supply of energy and a secure supply of food. And energy is very important, and that's to be able to allow for more oil and gas production. It's going to, I think, strengthen those international relationships, and I think the Prime Minister agrees with that. So I think it's a new beginning. We'll see more in 2026.
At the same time, there's some opposition as well. Some environmentalists, indigenous groups, British Columbia government, and not to say our official opposition, NDP. How do you want to tackle these?
Well, I can say that if we want to develop our economy and have all of the money to pay for the social programs we care about, we have to develop our most valuable resource. A million barrel a day pipeline to BC will generate $20 billion a year in GDP, of which governments take a large portion of that to pay for all the things people care about. So if I know that some of those voices are the ones always saying we need to spend more money on healthcare and education and infrastructure. Well, we can do all of that, but we have to make the money first, because if you don't earn income, then you're just running debt, and then it leads to inflation, and that ends up hurting regular people. So we think that the new approach that we have with Ottawa is, let's support those kinds of industries that create money, that create jobs, and then we'll be able to support all of Alberta demand as well as supporting Canadian demand.
And Premier, the recent stats show that Alberta is the only province with population gains this year at least. And I think a couple of years back, we were running that advertisement in East. Alberta is calling. Now people are still coming. All of the provinces are going minus. And there's already a lot of stress on health and education and other infrastructure. How do you want to tackle this?
Well, I think a couple things happened. We wanted to advertise in Ontario to bring tradespeople out here because we needed more electricians and welders and construction crew. What we didn't know is that the federal government had taken all restrictions off all of their programs. So there was no restriction on international students, temporary foreign workers, and asylum seekers, and they got out of balance. The way our system has always worked is that we have a priority on economic migrants, people who come here because they've got a skill, they can get a job right away, and then they can decide if they want to stay here permanently. So I think that the federal government has recognized that. They've clamped down on the number of people coming in through those three programs so that more people will come through the immigration stream, where you get points and you have the ability to have a better match with the economy. So we're supportive of that, and I think probably part of the reason people come to Alberta is that our economy is proven to be really good at creating jobs. So it may be that as those other streams, as those individuals end up going back to their home country, we get back into a better balance and we're able to catch up with the demands on our social programs.
Because, as I belong to South Asian community, and particularly Punjabi community is under a lot of stress regarding those extortions.
Yes.
British Columbia is the epicenter of that, and Alberta also had its fair share.
Yes.
What we can do differently than federal and other authorities in Alberta?
Well, I think working together, when Premier David Eby asked for the Lawrence Bishnois gang to be declared a terrorist group, we agreed and asked for the same thing, and the federal government complied. And that allows more tools of law enforcement so that you can break up those gangs. We have also given more resources to Calgary and Edmonton for policing. We've done a community session with our federal counterparts and municipal to make sure that people know that they have a safe way to report if they're being extorted, because that's, I think, the thing that causes so much uncertainty and fear. And so we need to do more of that to make sure that the community members feel protected. But the main thing is law enforcement. We've got to crack down on breaking up organized crime and gangs.
And regarding this South Asian community, lots of temporary workers and students have come over the years. They are struggling in Alberta, and many of them have credentials and the experience to get permanent residency.
Yeah.
PNP quota was slashed by the federal government,
Yep.
and Alberta has requested more powers and more quota.
We have-
What's your current stand on that?
Well, I can tell you that we have about 6,400 positions we're allowed to choose, but I think we've got 20 to 30,000 people asking for a provincial nominee position. We want to be more like Quebec. Quebec signed an agreement in the 1990s that they choose all of their economic migrants. We think we should too, because the very best way to ensure that someone's going to fit in is that they have a job and they've got a supportive community to help them learn how to do all the things they need to in a society, and then they can choose if they want to become a permanent resident and then a citizen. I think, unfortunately, some of those other programs were not good at matching people with the jobs that were available. It's left a lot of hardship. We heard a lot of students having to go to food banks. We heard people not being able to get jobs, people not feeling supported. And so having a better balance with the province leading, I think will be good for everyone. It's no good for someone to come here and have all the hope and aspiration and then not be able to find a place to live, have to go to a food bank, not be able to get a job. We have to make sure that that's a better match, and that's why we think that Alberta should have the same agreement as Quebec.
Alberta recently had municipal elections. We have two new mayors in two big, beautiful cities.
Yes.
Relationship with the previous mayors were not as that good. What do you see in future for next 4 years with these mayors?
I think that the relationship is always better if the municipal government focuses on their areas of authority and stops trying to do our job. And then we work together on finding joint projects and making sure that they're managed in a way that makes sense for taxpayers. I think we've got to a good place on the Green Line. I would like to see the extension of the Blue Line to the airport. I think that would be really helpful for us to partner on that. We know that we're going to have to do more on policing, and that we can work on that together. Have to do more on homelessness and supporting people with addiction downtown. And so those are the kind of priorities that if we can work together in partnership with Calgary and Edmonton so that we can build more houses, build more long-term care spaces, address some of those social issues, I think we'll get along just fine.
And Premier, in the last, I think 24 representatives of public are facing recall petitions right now. Is this bothering you?
Well, it's a very easy process. I don't know how familiar people are with this because it doesn't exist in very many places. It's pretty easy to start a petition. All you have to do is spend $500, open up a bank account, and explain why you don't like your MLA in 100 words. So it's probably not hard.
Way too easy?
It is pretty easy. We considered making some changes to tighten it up, but we're going to watch and see how they do. The main thing is they have to get 60% of their fellow citizens who voted in the last election to agree with them, and we'll find out if that's the case. I just feel like we've made a lot of progress. We've implemented a lot of our policy. We're doing the things we said we were going to do when we got elected, and so I think the majority of Albertans may be with us. We'll find out soon.
And then, Premier, what's the message for South Asian community for this 2025 is ending.
Yes.
We're coming to New Year. What's your message?
Well, I can tell you that the new Prime Minister is also changing the relationship internationally with a number of nations we've had difficult times with, including India. And so we'll be doing a trade mission. Rajan Sani, my Indigenous Relations Minister, and MLA Shane Getson will do a trade mission to India in the beginning of January. We're going to open up a new office in Mumbai, and we're going to work very hard to see if there's ways that we can double our amount of trade flows. We only share $600 million worth of trade with India. China, it's $10 billion. So we think that there's lots of opportunity for our communities to get connected with communities at home. And whether it's energy or food or manufactured goods or some other products, technology, we think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity to deepen that relationship.
Well, Premier, thanks for taking your time and talking to us.
Yes, my pleasure. We'll see you again.
Thank you.